Hi there, this is Monique from Cafe Edmonton. We're back on air again, and this time we've got Dean Harvey. He's an advisor for Cafe, a trusted advisor, years of experience in social work, and he's been very helpful with the Cafe Edmonton branch in particular. So we're hosting a talk with him, Boys in Crisis. He'll be coming down from Fort Simpson in Nunavut to come speak to Edmontonians about some of his experiences. So his meetup will be actually on the Thursday, December the 7th at 2017 at 7 p.m. at the Edmonton Public Library Highlands branch. So you definitely want to come on down for that. We'll post a meetup link below so that you can RSVP for that, and so we know how many people are going to be showing up. But I'm just going to ask Dean here, since we got him on air. So Dean, can you tell us a little bit about your credentials and your background and how you got into men's issues and boys' issues?
Well, I think I got into men's and boys' issues starting with a difficult childhood myself, and needed to understand why crazy people were crazy, and became a family therapist. I had an opportunity to go north and worked all over Nunavut and now NWT.
Yeah, so I've always been really intrigued and impressed by experiences that you've told me about. So I know you did social work, but I think it's really interesting how you brought up that you just wanted to know why people are crazy. I think that's really, it's kind of like you kind of like taking control of your situation. But so that's really interesting, that little tidbit about you. But you're doing a talk on boys in crisis here in Edmonton. And so you've mentioned to me how you got your insights. How can you tell us a little bit about how that came about?
Well, in the north, most of the communities are very small, and I traveled around and did work in many of them. And what I started to see was a common pattern, and it was easy to see. Whereas in the city, working there, I only ever saw a tiny slice. But the pattern seemed to pop out and be much more obvious when I was in the far north.
Oh, so it's amplified. So some of the crisis points, like for example, boys failure to launch or mature, and some of the societal, I guess, like external factors that were not supporting our boys as they grow up. So those patterns are amplified, is what you're saying?
Yes, and the communities are much smaller, so that the number of boys that were failing was obvious. I could actually name them, and
Okay,
it was mostly all boys and not the girls.
That's interesting. So I guess in a small community, it'd be easier to keep track of individual boys and see them over a lifespan, and actually have more of a nuanced, like maybe a close-knit understanding of what the actual issue is. Whereas in a larger population, like you may not see them over may not see them over a longer period of time, or so it's just more close-knit, I guess. And yeah, you're right. I guess that would make it more obvious whatever's going on.
Yes, it was much easier to see how the community programs, the schools, the recreation centers, the community organizations were working with children and youth, but they weren't able to reach the boys. And I started to look into that more closely, and found a long list of factors that were all conspiring to work together against the boys, making them paddle upstream.
Yeah, so yeah, do you notice a lot of I guess like one thing Cafe is trying to combat is the apathy towards these issues. Like if you bring it up, like sometimes people are just like, well, who cares? Like we only care about women's issues or girls' issues. That's like the PC, right? So it's pretty ugly, and so we're really happy to give you a platform here in Edmonton. But so what kind of things, like what kind of issues are you going to talk about in your talk?
Well, I'd like to tell it from the point of view of the story of how a boy would grow up, what their needs are, how we're not addressing those needs, how the schools, the communities are providing programs, lots of extra funding for the girls, good for them, they need it, but we've forgotten about the boys, and we need to do similar things for them. Boys' needs are unique, and the things that we're doing to help the girls aren't helping the boys.
Okay, that sounds quite reasonable and actually very fascinating. Dean, what are they going to get when they come to see you?
Well, I think I'll be able to go through and explain what the factors are that are working against boys and where we can stick the lever in to get the best chance of helping boys mature into men. They're going to hear about how to design programs that will meet boys' needs and what they can do as a takeaway to make a difference in their own communities.
Okay, so the solutions you have are realistic for everyday people?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So see you then, everybody.